Hi, YouTube. Welcome back to Shimmer Girl Talks. I said I would be back, and here I am talking about a topic that, well, that's what my channel is about. You'll find me talking a lot about marriage and relationships and, things that some people really don't want to talk about because, it could be a sore spot for some people. So I came up with 18 reasons not to get married. Now, before anybody's panties get into a bunch, please understand I am very much pro marriage. If you see anything that I've written or previous videos, you will see I am 110% for marriage, women getting married, men too, of course, men and women getting married and starting their life together. And I think that that would help clear up a lot of the things that goes on in our communities. But I just want to share a compilation that I have seen over the many years that I've been online talking to young Black women when it comes to marriage. And I have seen just about every excuse. If you talk about a positive about marriage, it's instantly shot down about why marriage is bad. And so it shouldn't be that much of a surprise to find that the marriage rates in our community is not the same as others. So I'm going to share some of the reasons for why marriage is bad that I've read online. And again, please note these are not my sentiments. These are just things that I've read over the years. And so here we go. A death sentence, meaning I have read comments on various forums from different Black women that marriage is like one of the worst things that can happen to a woman. It only benefits men. That's number two. That's not true. If you look it up on Google, marriage benefits both men and women, and particularly children born into those unions. It's only for white people. There was an article written not too long ago, I don't know, maybe between 5 and 10 years ago, that marriage was only for white people. And totally not true. Again, you look at all the other cultures where their men are asking their women to marry them, and you look at ours, and there is a disparity. Let's be honest, there is. Marriage is only for wealthy people. Now, that one kind of makes me laugh. Not makes me laugh, but I find it funny that some of the women that share that sentiment that marriage is only for wealthy people, but don't have a problem with having a baby with a man who doesn't have a job. Children and babies, don't take money. I never understand how, some women can be so cavalier about having a baby with a man that later she claims I can't stand. He's a deadbeat, but somehow getting married to a man who can, love you and be moral support is somehow wrong. I'm telling you guys, visit some of the forums geared towards Black women and type in marriage. I don't know what it's doing, those type of forums are doing nowadays, but when I used to spend a lot more time in those forums, and anytime the subject of marriage came up, I mean, it would crash and burn with name calling on both sides. The single women calling married women all kinds of names, and of course us having to defend ourselves and retaliate. And honestly, it was even before I was married. Everything that I think about marriage, I was even saying it before I was married. So it wasn't a case of I got married and got brand new. No, I've always felt like this. I was always pro marriage. All men cheat. Oh, that's my favorite. All men cheat anyway. So if that's the case, then why are you with your boyfriend? Your boyfriend doesn't cheat? If all men cheat, so that means he's cheating too. Your friends with benefits is cheating. The guy with the bow legs down the street that you think is so fine, okay, so he doesn't cheat. Only husbands cheat. Okay, okay. A marriage is your shack up partner or baby daddy. When I first came online many years ago, and like I said, I've always had this sentiment within me, talking about how marriage is beneficial to not only men, women as well, the community, children, and I used to notice how some of these women, well, I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years, and that's the same as marriage. In a legal sense, it's not, and just in a common sense point of view, it's also not, because a lot of those women, they want to get married, but they've settled on a man who does not want to marry them. And so now all of a sudden, marriage, becomes no big deal to those women, or so they say. A lot of it, in my opinion, is to save face. A lot of women in our communities don't think twice about bringing a child into the world without a husband. And, people are going to look at this as me judging. I don't think that I'm judging. I'm just making an observation. And I'm also going by how so many women are out here complaining about the state of, how relationships are, and how men are not stepping up to the plate to ask them to marry them or build a life with them. But then these are the same women who are shooting down marriage. You can't have, you got to pick what side you're on. You either have to be wife-minded. I'm going to be a wife. I'm not settling for, moving in with you, having your children without marriage. I'm not going to do that. But instead, they're doing all of these things that are not conducive towards marriage, to, be a potential wife. And then they complain about, the men out here. I don't get it, but, that's my opinion. They've never seen a healthy marriage. I've seen that rebuttal a lot. They've never, ever seen a healthy marriage. And if that's true, that's very sad. If it's not true, then they choose to not see any healthy marriages, I think it's a way to justify, maybe choices that they've made in their life. Marriage is really no big deal. That's another big one that I see. Marriage is no big deal. It's just a piece of paper. It ain't going to make no changes anyway. That's not true. And I don't think that the women that say that believes it either. But again, it's simply to, save face. It's no big deal. It's like sour grapes. If you get it, you can't get it, so you just make it seem as odious and bad as possible. I think this is the same as what I just said for white people. Marriage is a white man's construct. Marriage is archaic. Marriage isn't a cure-all. That's another one that I see. Marriage isn't a cure-all. No, marriage isn't a cure-all, but it's helpful. It's beneficial. Can you imagine our communities if children were going home to married mommy and daddy? Can you imagine how that would, change the psyche of a lot of things that goes on in our communities? I mean, there's a high crime rate. There's a high dropout rate. There's a high out of wedlock rate for birth. A lot of stuff would change if, when I say marriage, I'm talking about a healthy marriage. I'm not talking about a toxic one, but that's another topic for another day. This is another favorite of mine. Only desperate, ugly, with nothing going on for themselves want marriage. Like, single women are just so fabulous. They're living a dream. They're in a $250,000 condo, driving a Benz, making $500,000 a year, and married women are just bums sitting on their husband's dime eating bonbons. I'm like, really? Are you serious? But I have really seen that only ugly, desperate women want marriage. And again, I think that is just a save face, because it's just not necessary, to even say that, and it's also not true. My husband must be rich, or I don't want marriage at all. I've also seen that. But then on the flip side, behind the computer screen, people can be whatever they want. But it's funny that the women that say that, they're probably living in a project somewhere. Um, you know, I don't want to put numbers on things, or, like how much they might be making, or I don't want to do that. But the point is, you know, it's nothing wrong with having standards and, being a dreamer and stuff like that. But, the typical woman, your average woman, is not going to marry a rich man. Let's just be honest. But I think that it's good to, if you can, build a life with a hardworking man that loves you, and you build your life together. You work together towards a comfortable life, and it can happen. Some people put this pie in the sky, unicorns and rainbows, aspect towards marriage, when it's just two imperfect people coming together, loving each other, respecting each other, and building a life together. But, this generation is different from the generation I grew up in. So, yeah, I might come off as an old lady, but that's the generation I grew up in, where, we still wanted to be a wife and, build a life with a husband, not a boyfriend, baby daddy, friends with benefits, that nigga over there. No. Wives or maids. That's another one that I see a lot. Either way, you have to clean your house, and you might end up marrying a man who will help you around the house. That's something that you need to discuss with him, instead of just assuming that you're going to go into a marriage and just be some man's wife, or, and I'm sorry, some man's maid cleaning up after him. So you don't clean up after your home, even with just you in there. Discuss that with the potential man that you marry. Try to work some things out. If you have a little extra money, see if you can hire a maid. Make sure she's ugly, though. And, maybe help wash the dishes and mop the floors for you or something. I don't necessarily agree with having a maid, but that's me. The divorce rate is 50%. It is high, and that's sad. But that's because nobody is taking the time to have an honest discussion about marriage and what it entails and the benefits of it. Now, a lot of the stuff that I say is not popular, because people would rather make dumb decisions and then have somebody, oh, girl, it ain't your fault. It's his fault. It's not your fault. It's everybody else's fault. You're just, completely innocent of everything. The divorce rate is high because people are going into marriages without, without really knowing, the compromise that it takes to be married. Marriage does take work. It's not the fantasies that you see in the movies, but it's also not just the toxic waste dump that people try to make it out to be. Marriage, like life, is what you make it to be. If you go in with strife and angry, then that's what you're going to get out of it. But again, different topic for a different day. All wives are miserable and unhappy. I see that a lot too on, anytime the marriage topic comes up. Yes, you might find some women, wives, who are miserable and unhappy, but so are single women. Again, marriage is what you make it, but, a lot of those that back and forth, trying to make marriage look bad, in my opinion, is just a way for some women to feel good about not being married. If they make it as horrible as they can, then it makes them feel like, well, I'm glad I ain't married anyway, because every time I see so-and-so, she always got a sour look on her face. She always so unhappy. And I'm like, but that's what you choose to see. Sorry, not sorry. That's what you choose to see. Then the last one that I see quite often is, don't tell women to get married young. Really? So Are you telling women not to have that baby by a boyfriend at 18 or 21 or 25? Not to do that? No, of course not. I notice that the women that say, don't tell women not to get married young, but then a young lady that's 21 that's already on her third child, oh, that's no big deal. A woman that's 30 and's got 5 kids, oh, that's no big deal, by 4 different men, no big deal. But don't get married young. Oh my God, that's like the worst thing that can happen. And then we wonder why the marriage rates in our community is so much less than other communities. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I know this video is not going to go over well with some people, but I think that's one of the problems with our community anyways, because people don't want to take a serious stance on things, you know. So anywho, check out my other videos. Please make sure you subscribe, and I will be back with some other videos. Talk to you later. Bye.